We've agreed to a joint sensitization and tax education campaign. We've already been doing this, but together with the leadership of KACITA, going forward, we'll be sharing with them information and them also sharing with us information on the sectors that need more sensitization. One of the most problematic areas has been the area of textiles and garments, and it's where we see a lot of non-compliance. So together, we will work on sensitizing this sector and all the other sectors to make sure that we get 100% compliance. Therefore, our joint appeal to the traders, all those whose goods have not been cleared, and we notice that for most of this month, a number of containers carrying mixed goods are stuck in the bonds. And unfortunately, the lies that have been going around are that URA has confiscated your containers. So we are here to tell you that URA has not confiscated any container. And any delayed in clearance, especially after making this communication, please blame it to whoever brought your container. URA is not holding any container. We changed the procedure of clearance. Now, we've just agreed with the leaders, even to simplify it further. We will not get away from the principle of insisting on individual house bills, but we've agreed that let this be enforced from 1st of June, when you have not yet declared those goods. Please declare using individual house bills. However, the delay now that is happening in the bonds has been purely because the people who imported these containers abandoned them. They have not come to declare them. So URA has not confiscated any goods. Please, if you know that your goods are held up in any bond, ask your transporter or shipper or consolidator or container leader, whatever name you give him, to clear those goods this week. If they delay further, it will be because they have other issues. But URA has done everything to make this process simple going forward, to make sure that there are no more delays and damage expenses paid by the traders. In conclusion, we want to thank the leaders of KACITA for coming for this very important meeting to chart the way forward. We have listened to each other, and we are sure that what we've agreed on is a win-win situation for the traders and for the government. Let us all agree to streamline the process of groupage clearance. Let's use the international accepted standards of individual house bills. And this one will take effect from every good that sets off from the shore, from the point of importation, by 1st of July. What is already here in our process, we've agreed that we will clear it under that importer's name, but on condition that we do 100% verification and there's total transparency. So there's no tax lost, but also there's no further delay in trying to introduce what was not introduced earlier. I thank you very much for this amicable meeting, amicable discussion that we've had. And today, the Uganda Revenue Authority management has made the management of KACITA, representing the traders, to discuss the smooth way of implementing the changes that we have introduced, that we introduced in the month of April on the 28th, to streamline the clearance of goods imported in groupage. What had been happening previously is that goods imported under groupage containers were also being cleared in groupage, meaning that goods belonging to several traders would be cleared under one tin and under one container leader. And we identified some big risks, mainly on the side of revenue. It was gross under declaration of revenue, but also some traders were being overcharged because someone would pay taxes on their behalf and then later charge them tax. And because it was not being done transparently, some container leaders were charging traders much more than what they had actually paid on their behalf. But of course, there was also the other disadvantage of the VAT input, which is paid under 1 tin. All that VAT credit would go to 1 tin of the container leader, as opposed to being going to the individual tins of the several traders in that container. So as Uganda Revenue Authority, after discovering this loophole to revenue, but also overcharging of taxpayers, which had led some of them to run out of business, we introduced a change which we communicated in our public notice on the 28th of April, stopping with immediate effect the clearance through groupage tins, 1 tin to clear for the whole group. And following that change, KACITA reached out to us and they communicated the impact of that sudden change, indicating that some of the goods were being delivered on credit by the container leaders and so on. So we've been having communications, and today we had a meeting where I'm happy to report that we have unanimously agreed on a position which we believe is a win-win for the traders and for the government. And this is what we've agreed on, that all the goods that are already in the bonds or are already on the way in transit, we are going to have additional declaration by the container leaders to make right any declaration that was not accurate. In other words, those who have already declared your goods as container leaders, you have a chance to declare the actual contents in those containers before we open them for verification. And as long as you declare them accurately, 100%, and we confirm this when we do 100% verification, then those goods and that consignment will not be penalized, because we take it that now that you have consciously chosen to do the right thing. Because normally, if we discovered any under declaration at verification, penalties arise. And because of the appeals of the traders and the fact that these penalties are incurred by the people in that container who will not have intended to misdeclare, we realize that it will not help the traders. So the penalties are waived on condition that the additional declaration that will be made for all the goods already here or in transit will be transparent and 100%. And then our teams will do 100% verification, and only the right taxes will be paid without penalty. Number 2, we have agreed with the KACITA that they will highlight all those consignments on the way and already in the bonds. And with those consignments, they will also bring the consent of the individual traders in those containers. The consent is basically to say, yes, we agree to this person clearing the goods on our behalf because we trust that they will do the right thing. So that means that we need those consent coming along with the 100% honest declaration. The next issue of concern was on the values, and the traders, leaders, the leaders of the traders brought to attention the fact that the notice was short, and as a result, implementing it immediately will have adverse effects. And on this one, we've agreed that the Commissioner Customs will make communication of the new values with effect, to take effect from 1st July. In other words, the new values will be applicable from 1st July, just to give notice. But again, on this point, we would like to emphasize that according to the rules of valuation by the World Customs Organization, the first source of value the first and most preferred source of values is the invoices. So we want to take this opportunity to appeal to our businessmen that use the true values that you get from wherever you buy your goods. If you do not use those values, then of course you are subjecting yourself to the researched values in our database. And these values, we are constantly researching and updating them on a quarterly. So every 3 months, there is a new update on the changes in values based on the previous invoices received, and that will be communicated by the Customs Commissioner every quarter and at least a month in advance so that the traders know. But we encourage traders to use the true values on the invoices.